Hello, everyone. Welcome to Open Minds podcast with Arpita, where we dive deep into insights, awareness, and meaningful conversations. I am Arpita Srivastav, your host, bringing you thought-provoking conversation, discussion on the topic that matters, and it is going to open your mind as well. So, whether you're listening it on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, or any of your favorite podcast platform, get ready to expand your perspective. Let's begin. So, in today's episode, Saakshi Singla is joining us. She is child and family psychologist. Together, we unpack how the Netflix series Adolescence opens up powerful conversation, child's mental health, and the challenges our teens face. So, let's dive in and see. Hi, Sakshi. Welcome to Open Minds podcast with Arpita. You are a child and parent psychologist. I want you to introduce yourself to my audience.
Sure. I'm Saakshi Singla, a child and family counselor, somebody who's very invested in helping a lot of people become better parents. I'm also a relationship repair coach. And a lot of my work is helping people raise children who don't have to recover from their childhood. So I help a lot of people heal in a way that their unhealthy generational patterns are not passed on to their children. Very important work, I feel, but difficult work, which this world needs quite a lot.
Exactly, as you said, very important work. It is very important because I guess everybody needs a little bit of healing. And after becoming parents, we realize we actually need healing because now we need to raise someone and we cannot raise them with the unhealed version of ourselves, right?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Because if we raise them as unhealed human beings, then we are putting on them a lot more burden that they can carry. We can never be the most involved parents if we still have a lot of unresolved issues. So I think we really need to clear our own heads, our messes, heal ourselves before we actually start or even think of becoming parents, because it's extremely,
Exactly.
extremely important.
Yes, yes, it is important. And till the time I was only thinking, because my son is, he will turn 10. So I was thinking that we as parents raise our child, society raise our children. Of course, society raise everybody of us. But now I have realized one more thing that internet is also there to raise our very small kids. And how I've realized is by watching the series on Netflix, Adolescence, and it is like number one on number one today on Netflix. I mean, how do you think that internet is raising our child or affecting our child?
Oh, I wish it wasn't, but it is, right? Because the world is not the same place where we grew up. There was no internet, there was no exposure, we could not go into people's houses or to different countries by just a click of the button. We all know that it has a huge impact on us adults as well. But our children who are still not uh, adults whose nervous systems are still not completely developed, are getting or taking in a lot, good or bad, from social media and internet because it's available everywhere. And the parents, I think, role still is the most important. But what if the parents are busy? What if the parents can't be involved? It's scary because instead of us and the world raising them, today it is a little us and a lot of internet that's raising them.
Yeah.
And that's very dangerous, right? Because the internet has everything good or bad there. And our children yet do not have the rational capability to pick up only the good. They're also
Yeah.
picking up the bad. That's why I think the term that you've used, that our children are being raised by internet, which this new series Adolescence has brought forward, is very true. And that's why it is scary.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And so when I watched the series, I was definitely mind blown by it. And it, you know, a lot of questions were there in my mind. And then I have seen your work. I know you from like past 6 or 7 years. I'm following you, so I know you. That's why I wanted to talk to someone who work with parents and child in this, in this counseling manner, in this psychology manner. So the very first thing which came to my mind as the word used incel in the adolescence, and to my shock, I have never heard of that word. So, what do you mean by incel?
Oh, I think that's the central theme of the series. But it's very important to note that a lot of adults, I think, not just lot, majority of adults didn't had never heard of this word, at least around where we live, right? But
Yeah,
when I spoke with children or actually teenagers and young adults, they all knew what it was. And what does that mean? That means that internet's reached to places where we adults don't know how to reach. So, incel, to explain what an incel is short for involuntary celibate. Somebody who is forced to remain celibate, and which comes from basically a place where, young men and women who are feeling rejected in love or in relationships who think that they are not good enough to impress girls, or they won't be able to make girlfriends, or they would not be able to really have satisfying relationships with them. Now, what happens in that situation is that they become bitter and they become angry, and they start blaming women and girls, and the loneliness that they feel becomes very dangerous for them, because now they are also going through social media, which is talking about incel groups, where there is a lot of content around that, which is fueling even more anger and hatred, which is making boys feel like the world is going against them. And in extreme cases, the it's bringing a lot of real world violence, and that is what I think Adolescence series shows to us, that the loneliness and the frustration, isolation, and online obsession can take you to places where you can't come back from. So it's not just a word, it is something which is showing us that there is so much that is happening behind our backs that we need to really be aware of as parents.
okay, okay, yeah, right. So, how can parents recognize like warning signs that their child might be exposed to harmful online communities?
Oh, these signs are very clear. It's just that the parents don't know which ones to look at and how to look at, but they're very, very clear. So some of them I will ask them to note down here on the podcast. It'll come really handy if they see these things happening to their children. Number one, drastic personality changes. They seem withdrawn, they are aggressive, or they are secretive, or emotionally distant, which they never were, but they've suddenly, you feel that change in them. For seeing these signs, the parents will have to be really involved in their lives, because the problem is that the teenagers are sitting in their own rooms and the parents are busy with their lives, and they think that their children are safe because they are not going out and meeting strangers. But what they don't realize is that they might be meeting strangers and the wrong kind of people, who can radicalize them, who can bring hatred to them through the internet. So the first sign is drastic personality changes. Number two, excessive screen time and isolation. They cannot get off the screen, and they don't do the screen use in front of you or in the lobby room. They're always sitting behind closed doors. They are not meeting friends. They are isolated, and they're spending hours alone on their device, especially at night. So actually not taking the phone away from them in the night and letting them have their phones in the bedroom is a very, very bad deal. Number three, new jargon and slangs. using unfamiliar coded language when they are with their friends, something that parents don't understand at all. Some of it they will always have, right? Because of the, I think, because of the generation gap.
Yeah.
But if it is very coded and it is spoken quite often to keep the parent out, that is a danger sign to look out for.
Okay.
Number four, extreme defensiveness about online activity. The moment you go into their room, they will shut the screen. They will get very frustrated or angry if they think that, you've looked into the screen. They will tell you things like, they will bring a lot of anger and be very secretive and get upset with you that you are violating their privacy. They could be doing something which you want to prove. So you
Yeah.
need to look at extreme defensiveness about any online use, right? Number five, sudden shift in beliefs and attitudes. Suddenly they are developing radical opinions, or like they are questioning, especially boys, being very angry with girls. They're talking in a more misogynist manner. And also, one thing which is very important to look at is unhealthy self-image. They think they are ugly, they don't like themselves, the self-worth has dipped. All these are signs that they are consuming content which is making them feel really shaky about their own selves. Okay. Number six, new unfamiliar online friends or even offline friends. You don't know these children. Some of these friends they've never met, but they are constantly in touch with, and they don't want you to meet these friends of yours. Even
Yeah.
some offline friends you've never known. You have no idea where they are coming from. You don't know their parents. That is a danger sign as well. And seventh, and the most difficult one is when you see them self-harming. They are, if you say something to them, or when you say no to them, they hit their head somewhere to harm themselves, or they are
Okay.
cutting themselves, or they seem depressed. They don't come out of the room. They are not doing, their personal hygiene has gone down, or they're talking a lot of talk of worthlessness. All
Okay.
of these are danger signs. They might be exposed to very harmful content, which is affecting their mental health.
Yeah, exactly. So, as you were saying that social media is fueling certain ideologies in our kids, how can we create a safer digital space for teenagers? Like, what can we do so that they don't
Sure, I
also
don't.
they don't react in such a way? Suppose if since my child is going to turn 10 in August, he is not allowed to use phone. Only the gaming zone he is allowed. He is not on Instagram, but there are few people of my friends' kids, they are on Instagram. So if we take away the phone from them, or if we take away any social media app particularly from them, they will feel, they can feel angry, और फिर इसके अलग कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस है, राइट? बिकॉज हमें जेंटल पेरेंटिंग भी करनी है, हमें उनको भी समझना है, तो व्हाट वी कैन एज पेरेंट्स कैन डू टू मेक इट सेफर फॉर देम?
Oh, that's a very important question, because a lot of children at 10, 12 are on the internet and on social media. I think ये adolescence show देखने के बाद a lot of parents जिन्होंने अभी तक नहीं दिया है phone या कोई internet usage शायद नहीं देंगे, because they say that that should be not before 15 years of age. But अगर दे दिया है तो भी आई थिंक लेट्स नॉट फॉरगेट दैट वी आर द पेरेंट, राइट? अगर हम दे सकते हैं तो हम दे भी सकते हैं, अगर हम दे सकते हैं तो
एग्जैक्टली,
हम
ये तो है।
कंट्रोल भी रख सकते हैं. So let's
करेक्ट,
not get
करेक्ट।
taken it. I know what you're saying, because they can tell you that the world has it. They can tell
या,
you that our people are kharab parents. So, but what is more important is saving them, right?
या,
And I don't think social media कोई fuel कर रहा है ये ideology. Social media में सब कुछ है, good or bad, अच्छी ideology, खराब आइडियोलॉजीज हमारे बच्चों तक ये पहुंच कैसे रही है, दैट इज समथिंग दैट वी नीड टू थिंक एट, which means हमने कोई पेरेंटल गाइडेंस नहीं लगाई हुई, हमने वो फोन देने से पहले कोई रूल्स नहीं बनाए. As parents, we are very busy with our own lives, and we are not really, we don't know about internet. We are coming from those places where we were not born in the internet age, but doesn't mean that we should not learn some bit. So many parents come and tell me that, I मेरे को तो ये आता नहीं है. I to go to my children to tell me what to do. So please don't make your children feel
Correct.
that you are tech stupid, because they are sharper than you.
Of
So you
course.
need to learn. First thing to, I think, protect our teens in the digital world is that the parents can't take their responsibility away. Because social media isn't just entertainment today. It's shaping how our teenagers are seeing themselves, the world, their worth. And in this show, it is very clear that, these parents, Jamie's parents, were good parents. They actually thought that their child was safe in their room, but they had their own frustrations, right? They were
Yeah.
not involved in his life. They did not know what he was doing on the internet. They didn't even know how many hours was he doing. So I think the responsibility completely comes to us, because मुझे नहीं लगता digital space change होगी, right?
Yes.
Because there is good or bad there. So what do we
Correct.
do?
Correct.
What is that parents need to do? Some of the things, actually have a lot of conversations with them. Teach them to question, not just consume the content. मिस इंफॉर्मेशन बहुत जल्दी स्प्रेड करती है. इसलिए फॉर अस टू हैव दिस कॉन्वर्सेशन, सिट विद देम एंड टेल देम दैट इंटरनेट पे गुड और बैड सब कुछ है. यू नीड टू यूज योर क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग. कम लेट्स टॉक अबाउट इट. ये मिस इन्फॉर्मेशन है, इसको कैसे क्वेश्चन करना जरूरी है. डोंट कंज्यूम एवरीथिंग, which also means the communication levels with the teenagers of the parents have to be really open, right? Because अगर वो
Correct.
channels open नहीं है तो बात कैसे करेंगे?
Correct. Correct.
Also, I think the next point, help them set boundaries before social media. Sets for them, right? Endless scrolling करना ठीक नहीं है. It steals their confidence. Speed, सोने के time, they cannot have the phones. If they see something which is uncomfortable, they should report. They should come and talk about it. Because कितनी बार तो वो खुद ऐसी sites पे जा भी नहीं रहे हैं. These sites just pop up, right?
Correct.
Depending on what is it that they are asking the internet. Also creating a space where they don't have to hide. So if we are judging them, if we are very strict parents, अगर उनको आंसर्स ही नहीं देते हैं, अगर हमारी, लाइक वी सेड, इफ आवर ओन लाइफ इज इन अ मेस, अगर पेरेंट्स की आपस में नहीं बनती है, अगर पेरेंट्स का काम इतना ज्यादा है दैट either the servants are making them, helping them grow up, or they are there is no, they can go to anybody's house, any unknown child can come to their house. It is all a parental problem, right? A parenting
Yes.
problem. Or so बहुत openness where they can do whatever is also not okay, because they are children, they don't know what is right or wrong. And being very strict कि हर चीज में उनको जज करना, हर चीज में क्रिटिसाइज करना, हमेशा उनके सर पे बैठना would mean that they will find a way to hide. They will not do it at home, but they will go to cyber cafes and go and search. Or they will go to other people's
Other
places to search.
friends, please. Right.
I think that is pretty important as well. And also, I think not just keeping them away from harmful content, but also showing them more healthier online spaces. Who will tell them? These are kids. But if the parents are not tech savvy, if the parents don't take out time to learn what the internet is bringing to them, then how will we tell them what are better places
Yeah.
to,
Yeah.
pick up their content from? And
Correct.
lastly and most importantly, we have to keep telling them again and again that their worth isn't measured in likes of other people. So what
Correct.
really happened to Jamie was that his worth was based on how girls saw him. And if they rejected him, and he was already reading a lot of content जो बहुत misogynist था, जो बहुत hatred show कर रहा था, जो ये बता रहा था that a man has to be a man who has power over his voice, a man who is strong, a man who cannot cry, a man who cannot a boy is somebody who cannot be rejected by a girl, and अगर वो reject हो रहा है तो वो worthy ही नहीं है. That is something we need to keep reminding our children. क्योंकि
Yeah.
कहीं तो though the parents were good parents, like Jamie's
Hmm.
parents, but they were not people who were not bothered about their children. They loved their children, but I think where they lacked was that connection with the children, where they could not help Jamie feel worthy about himself.
Hmm.
Um, and we all know what happened. There was a life lost because
Yeah.
of that as
And बहुत एक very important question मेरे दिमाग पे जो आया, as you said, जेमी के parents they were good parents, right? But do you think, जैसे आप बोलते हो कि we need a little bit healing, right? So do you think they required healing before becoming a parent? I mean, they were a good parent, of course. They loved their child, but do you think they need healing? And if they were healed, ऐसा कुछ शायद नहीं हुआ होता?
Yeah, healed होते और I think थोड़े से ज़्यादा clued on होते. They had so basically what Jamie's father says that my father used to beat me up, and
Hmm.
I didn't want to do that to my child. I tried to be a good father to him, and he did. So he was coming from a generational pattern जो उसने बहुत कोशिश करी आगे नहीं
नहीं बढ़ाने की.
आने की.
Hmm.
But stresses of life, he was, I think, struggling with money. He used to his or his job many times. He'd
Hmm.
also inherited a lot of anger from his father. He was not taking it out on the child, but somehow थोड़ा सा घर पे I think डर का माहौल था, connection का माहौल नहीं था. Children were on their own. I think the parents were pretty close on to each other. मगर अगर आप उसमें भी देखोगे तो Jamie's mother was holding emotions all the time. She was like very careful, oh, the father will get upset. And we do this so much in our Indian homes, right? The mothers hold the emotion of the fathers in our homes. We tell our children, oh, Papa गुस्सा हो जाएंगे, शांत हो जाओ. He's come after a long day of work. Everybody revolves around this fact that Papa को गुस्सा ना चढ़ जाए. So a lot of this, so there is suppressed anger, right? Even in our homes. Either it is coming
Correct.
from earlier generations, coming from stress of work, and women or mothers are the bearer of handling emotions for other people. But there is some kind of the environment does breed of that kind of suppressed anger, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying this is why Jamie killed, but there were so many other factors. Yes,
Yeah.
why did he find solace in the internet so much? Got involved with the wrong kind of places, and such a pretty child,
Yeah.
and it doesn't matter saying how he looked, but an innocent 13-year-old
Yes.
actually believed he was ugly, actually believed that he's not worthy.
Yeah.
And when he already had those feelings of worthlessness, or feeling that he was ugly, or feeling that he was not good enough, and then he reads content which shows him that he is not man enough if he gets rejected by somebody. It was just a ticking time bomb to explode.
Exactly.
So very relevant, yes.
Yeah, very relevant. Also, one more thing is there that, a lot of bullying happens everywhere, right? A lot of bullying also happens, what I think is, because all the kids around think it is cool. तो हम कैसे अपने बच्चों को समझाएं कि that it is not cool? instead of joining the bullies gang, you join the empath gang. और तुम समझाओ ये जो coolness है around bullying या around abusive words, इसका कुछ कैसे कर सकते, like any solution or what we as parents should do or we as society should do? ऐसा क्या कर सकते हैं हम जो बच्चों को ये cool नहीं लगे?
Oh, Arpita, thank you. I love your questions because I think इतना relevant है ये question. So क्या हुआ adolescence में भी? Jamie was being bullied, right? The Katie was bringing saying things about him on the Instagram. The comments were actually of bullying, but she should not be blamed because just because there is somebody who is just following what the young people are doing should not be killed for it. But at the I think the foundation starts there. If you are not accepted in a community, if you are bullied, if you are looked at as different and not good different, people do lose their mental health over it, right? Even if it was you and me, and we have a group of 5 friends, and out of those 5 friends, one all the friends are invited for a birthday party, and the 5th one, which is you or me, are not invited for that birthday party. What happens to us? We also feel a fear of rejection, right?
Exactly.
Now, is sometimes it's also coming from a place of bullying. There's bullying in adult lives as well. But हमारा क्या है कि हमारा, I think, nervous system पूरा develop हो चुका है. Our rational thought is developed. We can stand up when we are an adult and say, okay, so if they are going to do this bullying behavior, then this friendship is dead to me. Yeah. Or tell myself कि मेरा worth एक birthday party पे जाने से थोड़ा नहीं कम या ज़्यादा हो जाता. But we have to remember that teenagers, young people, yet do not have their rational thought completely developed. They are thinking from their emotional brains. उनके लिए वो life or death situation हो जाती है. So they feel rejected, fear of rejection. Bullying is basically feeling rejected from a community. Again, I would say that there is a parenting angle in this. And what is the parenting angle? When homes are very strict, when parents are, you only do what I tell you. When parents are, do not treat children as humans, but they treat children as small adults who need to be the best children that they can be. Or in some houses, parents are still hitting their children or belittling their children, or to really make them good human beings, they are criticized quite a lot. That is also bullying behavior. So who are the children who get bullied at home? Are the ones who either don't have a voice at home, or the ones who have to just agree with people, even at home where they don't again have a voice. So what was happening in Jamie's life? Good parents. Why was he getting bullied? Because somewhere he felt that he's not good enough. He's ugly. Girls don't like him. It was a different kind of story that they were talking about. But it really made, the fear of rejection was so large that it made him do what he did. And then he was radicalized by the internet, right? By influencers like Andrew Tate, influencers who talk about misogynist, toxic masculinity. It just went crazy in the end. But starts from that same place, right? Starts from us not feeling good enough. And when we are bullied, that's the first thing that comes to us. We don't feel that the other person who's bullying us is wrong when we are kids. We think we are not good enough.
So, Saakshi, if you were Jamie Miller's parent, how would you react to such an accusation, and what steps should be taken legally and emotionally?
Oh my God, such a difficult question. Arpita, you, me, or anybody, nobody wants to be in that situation, right?
Yeah.
Um, no parent is ever prepared for a moment like this. The accusation alone, I think, would shake me to my core. Fear, disbelief, heartbreak, colliding all at once. But before panic takes over, I think as a parent, I'll remind myself that my child needs me now more than ever. Um, I've made that child. So it is becomes my responsibility um, to see what I can do with it right now. So a couple of things I've been thinking about it, and I thought maybe a couple of things that um, I might have done, or I hope I'm never in that situation, but legally to find the truth and not just defend my child. I would seek legal counsel, not to cover up, but to ensure fairness, because accountability matters. This is tough because if thinking about my child, that other child who's been killed is also somehow everybody's child. So I can't just keep defending my child without really knowing the truth.
Mm,
I would ask my child and encourage my child to be honest. I would want my child to know that while I stand by them, the truth must be faced.
mm,
Like we were talking about, that the problem is always acceptance, right? Of rejection or the truth. That is something that we really need to teach our children. Emotionally, I think, hold Jamie close no matter
mm.
what. He's still my child. And love can't disappear and go away during the hardest moment. And there could not be a more harder moment than this, right?
Correct.
Listen and create space for him to speak, not just defend himself, but actually to hear him. Um, and also take responsibility.
Mm,
If they've caused harm and I as a parent have uh, I'm sure some role to play, I will just have to give myself grace and think about that other child that got killed as well, and do what is required to be done in the situation. Also, lastly, I think supporting the mental health and emotional well-being of my child as much as I can, holding the family together, being actually doing the work for ourselves to understand, though we need to take onus of this, but where we could have done better is how I would have looked at it. But I don't know. I have to be in that situation, and I hope nobody is in that situation, to be sure. But I think as a parent or a parenting coach, that kind of responsibility is expected from a child's parent who's just killed another person's child, right?
right, right. Okay, so what do you think? Like, how can schools and educators intervene when they notice behavioral changes in students, uh, which is influenced by online echo chambers?
Okay, another tough one, right? As much as the parents or parenting, the home environment is important to talk about, here is also the school.
Mm,
Because a lot of these changes can be seen in school as well. When children are misbehaving, or children are withdrawing, or becoming angry, or you can see mental health problems.
mm,
Um, these are actually don't not dismissing them as a phase, but actually looking at it as a silent cry for help. And a lot of schools are unable to do that. So they need to have better counselors, they need to have better mental health practitioners, they need to have teachers who are taught what is social and emotional development as well, so that they can notice the change, not just the behavior. Because in teenage years, a lot is also visible. You would see defiance, withdrawal, radical views, which must be showing up in the school as well. And the school to have policies where they're not just punishing, where they're actually helping the children cope with what the internet is doing to them as well, and counseling and therapy and help around that needs to be provided everywhere. And schools are a very good place to provide that. There could be talks which are talking about misogyny and talking about how the internet is not all good. Things like this really need to be done in the school. And I think, lastly, to bring the parents and the counselors together. It's not just a school issue, it's not just a parent issue, it is a community issue. Schools need to partner with families to support and not alienate, which does not happen many times. Um, I think, lastly, being really close to the students to see um, how the loneliness sometimes is going around. There would always be bullying cases in school, which a lot of teachers and a lot of schools will just brush under the carpet to take them much more seriously, so that nothing like this happens around their children ever.
Yeah, right. Whenever we are going for any job interview, or suppose any course we are doing, whatever our career is, to make that career we study a lot, right? Before becoming parent, we don't do any of such sort, right? So what do you think should be done? Like, what's your message for the new parent and also existing parent?
Oh, what you just said is so relevant, because to do anything, to do any kind of job, I first study and then train for it, right? But being a parent is just taken for granted, whereas that is, I think, one of the most important jobs any one of us are doing, because that's what's shaping the world. So actually going ahead and learning more about parenting, child development, understanding human behavior, understanding also what's happening in the tech world, all have to be an ongoing study content for parents as well. A lot of parents don't know what's happening in their children's lives because they did not grow up in the internet. Lots of parents don't know what generational trauma and patterns are, because that's not something which was discussed before. A lot of parents have no understanding, because this wasn't a talk which was ever done. But we can learn from so many places. We can learn from parenting courses. All good parenting coaches run these courses. I run a couple of very, very important ones. There are books to read. There is so much content out there. But first, we have to believe that we don't know it all. But, in parenting, we also have this idea that, oh, we turned out well, so we know it all. No, we don't know it all. Not in this world anymore. So yes, right. To really train to be a good parent is one of the most important things that we need to do in this world to reduce the kind of social evils that this world has today. A lot of radicalization of young boys is also coming from the place that the parents don't realize that their own misogynistic views, anger at homes, fathers' mood swings, fathers coming with a lot of emotional baggage at home, or mothers being depressed, or mothers not really, maybe not going to therapy themselves to take off their burdens, is all what our children are learning from. Because if we are making them lonely, and if we are making them, if they are not very well connected to us and they have questions, they are going to find the questions from the internet. And the internet does not have a filter, right? We are the filter for that.
We are the filter, right?
We'll have to learn ourselves first before we bring anything to them, right?
Yeah, correct. Okay, so what do you think? Does adolescence offer any solution, or does it serve as a warning? Like, what are your key takeaways? And what key takeaways should parents and teens learn from the show?
Oh, the biggest takeaway is that this conversation needs to be made. The biggest, I think, why it's been so successful as a TV series and why it has gathered millions of views in the first 4 days of its screening is because this is a story of your house, my house, and everybody's house. Male rage, radicalization, actually a lot of misogyny, hatred towards women, and not that gender inequality is not shaping up for women as well, but these are everyday problems for anybody and everybody,
Hmm.
and we don't want to talk about these things, right? So a show like Adolescence has started the conversation in so many places. You know, in UK, where it was, the movie is a British movie, British series. The schools already have anti-misogyny subjects, which have started being taught there. And Adolescence came out only, I think, uh, a couple of weeks ago. So there are lots of changes that are happening, and there is you and me are talking about it, right?
Yes,
I
yes,
think every
exactly.
country of this world is making these conversations, and hence I think just starting this conversation and
Hmm.
looking at it from such a close quarter is the solution that the series has given us. Actually, honestly, the series doesn't talk about what can be done,
Hmm.
and or what is the right way to not let it happen, but it's opened this conversation enough for people to do their own fact finding
Hmm.
of how this can be solved on its own, and that's a much more effective way to bring change in the society.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, so the whole series, which I found, is not about a 13-year boy killing a 13-year-old. I mean, it is that, but it is why it happened. So the main topic to be discussed is why it happened, right? And that needs to, that needs a lot of talking. I guess this one podcast is not enough to understand about everything about it, but yes, it's a good start, right? Is there anything else you want to add on for our audience?
Yeah, just a few key takeaways for parents and teens.
Mhm.
For parents, be present, not just protective. Teens need understanding, not just rules. Um, have hard conversations early with your children. If you don't talk to them, someone online will, and that won't be pretty. Monitor with trust, not fear. Teach them how to think, not what to think. Some of the key takeaways for teens are also something that I've noted down, which I'd like to kind of read and talk about,
Mhm.
which is belonging shouldn't cost your identity. Beware of groups that demand blind loyalty, because if our children or if our teens are not using their heads, they might feel that they have to be loyal to things which are not good. Think before you follow. Just before it's viral doesn't mean it's true. Your true worth does not like in the likes you are getting or the comments you're getting on your Instagram or social media post. Remember that you're much more than that. Real strength is not knowing is it real strength is knowing when to walk away, and not be in situations which do not agree with your values. You and lastly, fear of rejection is there in all of us, but
Mhm.
it doesn't mean that we can either kill somebody or bring any kind of harm to anybody else who's rejected us. It's a very normal thing to happen. with us in any part, and that is going to happen a lot in other parts of your life as well, when you go to get a job, or when you go to a college and you don't get through, and there is some rejection coming, doesn't mean that it is end of the world. There is always another place, another person for you. And that is something which is very important. So connection is the antidote. Parents and teens must bridge the gap before the internet does it for them. So we need to stay beware of the internet, and as parents, be the filter that our children need.
Great, great. So, very insightful conversation it was, and you've given a lot of tips. I am going to note down every tips, in the show notes. Thank you so very much for agreeing to come on this and for agreeing to talk about this. Thank you so much, Sakshi.
Thank you so much, Arpita, for having me here. And like we said, I think the conversations have started, and
Correct.
I think you and me and the world really needs to change this world, which is not safe for our children. So I'm so glad we had a very, very good chat today.
Yeah, thank you. Okay.
Thank you for tuning in this eye-opening conversation with Saakshi Singla. And one thing is very clear, that parent-child bond is a must. Also, there are some signs which our kids shows when they're mentally not well or when they're being bullied, which Sakshi and I discussed in the episode. So we as parents need to connect with our child. It's our responsibility to get involved in our child's life. Not, not like helicopter parenting, but we need to know like what's going on in their life. Also, there's one more thing Sakshi mentioned, which is don't be tech stupid. If you will be tech stupid, your child will think about like my mom or my dad, they will never know what we'll do. So you know what, start learning a little bit of technology and also the slang our teens use, so that we will get to know that if they are in danger or not. If they are bullying someone, that is also not correct. So we all need to also teach our children a little empathy. Teens try to learn your teen slang, their digital world, and the way they communicate. The more you understand their language, the closer your bond can grow. Until next time, keep your minds open and your hearts even more. Bye.